Hey, Brandy,
Yes,
I just sent you that notes page.
I
If
got
you
it.
could-
I'll print it and run it down.
Yeah, we'll just print it, and then if Lee's power goes out, we can run up and get it. Hopefully we don't need it, but we'll have it if needed.
Yeah, I'll just run it down now.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome.
I think the other night it was really hot.
Yeah.
So everyone was complaining and then they just kind of jacked up the air. Jacked down temperature.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Saying it is going to YouTube at the moment, but the webinar.
Okay.
While we're ready for me to start.
Round the hour on there.
Chris, whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and start.
Okay,
Started.
it is now live, sir.
All right, we'll call to order the August 12th Planning Commission, Rockbridge County Planning Commission. We have to have a roll call. Tennis,
Here.
Ms. Hines,
Here.
Mr. Lucas,
Here.
Mr. Whitmore,
Here.
I'm here. We have everybody present. Important notices, this meeting is being held by electronic means pursuant to the continuity of government ordinances adopted by the Board of Supervisors on May 26, 2020, and due to the threats posed by COVID-19 pandemic to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and in accordance with the recommendation, guidelines, and requirements of federal, state, and local authorities. Commission members will be participating remotely. Some commission members will be participating remotely. Staff will be presenting as normal in the Board Supervisors Meeting Room at 150 South Main Street, Lexington. And while the room will be open to the public due to the size of the meeting room and social distancing requirements, no more than 30 attendees will be allowed into the room at one time. For the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Executive Order 63, all persons over the age of 10 do not have a precluding medical condition are asked to wear a face covering. We'll hold citizen comments near the beginning of the meeting. We will do our best to take citizen comment remotely. There are two options for citizens to offer a comment remotely. One, join the Rockbridge County Planning Commission Zoom webinar. Link is available on the county website. Copy into the address line on your browser. Two, you can join by telephone. Dial into one of the following numbers, and these are also listed on the county website: 1-301-715-8592. Next, 1-312-626-6799. Third, 1-669-900-6833. Next, 1-253-215-8782. The last, 1-346-248-7799. Webinar ID is 884-321-9671. Password is 499294. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Planning Commission YouTube channel. So click which is available also on the county website. So at this time, we will proceed with the meeting. First will be citizen comments. I'll remind everyone that in addition to participating by Zoom or telephone, written citizens' comments have been solicited for a receipt via email, U.S. mail, the drop box located at the front entrance of the county administration building, and via email. We will take comments in the following order. Names and magisterial districts of citizens that have submitted comments received by email, letter, or Dropbox will be read aloud and made part of the minutes of this meeting. Planning Commission members have received all comments that have been submitted. For in-person participants, if any, the moderator will ask if there are any participants present to comment. If there are, they will be invited to approach the podium and address the commission. For Zoom participants who do not have a microphone on their computer can click on the Q&A button and submit their comment by way of typing. The moderator will read the comment aloud during public comment. When typing a comment, please begin with your name and magisterial district. Participants with a microphone on their computer can click on raise hand button, and the moderator will unmute participants one at a time to receive verbal comment. For phone participants, citizens participating by phone will also be allowed to speak. Moderator and commission can only see your phone number on your screen. If you would like to make a citizen comments by way of phone line, please push the *9 button now. And by pressing *+9, the moderator will see that you have raised your hand and will go down list of numbers and unmute each line one at a time. Prior to unmuting a line, the moderator will announce the last 3 numbers of your phone number. We'll then hear a recording indicating your phone is now unmuted. And at that point, you can indicate whether or not you wish to comment. Stating yes, you'll be asked to state your name, magisterial district for the record. In any case, citizen comments will follow the same rules as normal. Please state your name and magisterial district, and please limit comments to 3 minutes. Okay, at this time, I will open up to citizen comment period. This is for anything not on tonight's agenda. Please note that the commission is interested in hearing your comments and that staff has done their best to make public comment possible during this challenging time. I'll ask that if your comments have been previously stated, you refrain from reiterating that same comment. Mr. Sladen, is there anyone physically present to speak? Slade, I believe you're on mute.
No, sir. No one here is present to speak. And so the next thing we look at are the attendees. There are no attendees with their hand raised, and then we'll go to the question and answer, and there are no question and answers posted, no questions posted, I should say.
Okay, well, with no further comments, then the citizen comment period would now be closed. And we'll now go on to the minutes of the July 8th meeting. Comments?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes with the minor corrections that we've discussed earlier.
We have a motion.
Kimberly second. I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now to the Board of Supervisors report.
Yes, and I've actually modified that a little bit to include other boards that we work with. One thing I realize is we don't update y'all on some other activities, but starting with the Board of Supervisors, at the July 27th meeting, the board approved the application for Heavener's Cars and Trucks, the Heavener Lemon application, per your recommendation. The board also approved a request for vacating a portion of a paper alleyway in the Natural Bridge Station area. That was block 67, lots 1 through 26, the alley between those two, or those lots, I should say, and approved a request for vacating a 10-foot drainage and utility easement in the Riverbend subdivision, more particularly lot 22. In this case, the Tourism Corridor Overlay Board did not hold a meeting in July. That will consistently be on the agenda from here on out to give you all an update of what the TCO is doing. And then the Board of Zoning Appeals did not hold a meeting in July as well. There's some cases, with variance requests, we're required to put variance requests on the agenda. but the Board of Zoning Appeals also does appeals of the zoning administrator decision. So I will update you accordingly when the Board of Zoning Appeals meets. But that concludes the board reports.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and proceed with this scheduled public hearing. We'll follow the same procedures we did with the citizen comment period. Any citizens present will be allowed to speak first. Staff will read any written comments that have been received, and we'll take comments by way of Zoom webinar. Then finally, we will take comments by way of phone participants. First on our agenda is the James River Depot Orson Campground public hearing application for special exception for campground in the agricultural and general uses A2 district. David, I believe you have a comment at this point.
Yes, the same as last month. I hereby abstain from all matters, discussions, or voting related to the application for a special exception permit of the Orson family. And my disclosure statement required under the Conflict of Interest Act is on file with the Secretary of this Planning Commission.
Thank you, David. So staff and applicant will go ahead and review the project.
All right, I'm gonna attempt to share my screen here. Fairly brief presentation, similar last time with some updates. This is a application for a special exception in the agricultural and general use district, considered the James River Depot, the Orson Campground. To go over the area zoning map, the large majority to the north is the white area. That is the agricultural and general uses district. As you can see, the Orson property is outlined in magenta, the 3 tracks there. Also in the agricultural and general use district. The green on the map is the conservation district, which is considered C1. In this case, it's the Jefferson National Forest. James River, of course, bisects the National Forest from the Orson tracks and others. Zoning area map continued. This is part of the 100-year floodplain. The area under consideration is located in Zone AE, area within the 100-year flood hazard zone with base flood elevations determined, as determined by FEMA and shown on panel number 51163C0435C, and the effective date on that map is April 6, 2000. Wendy Orson has made an application for a special exception to continue to operate a campground in the agricultural and general uses district. That's again the A2 district. The parcels that are under review are outlined in magenta. The parcels are owned by the Orson family. Tax map number 113-11-1, 6.41 acres is owned by Charles and Karen Orson. Tax map number 113-11-2, 6.42 acres is owned by Russell and Laura Orson. And the third tax map number is 113-11-3, which consists of 6.43 acres, is owned by Michael and Wendy Orson. The total area of all 3 tracts combined is 19.26 acres. Per section 603.03-15 of the Rockbridge County Land Development Regulations, campgrounds, private seasonal campgrounds are used by special exception in the A2 zoning district. Just like to go over some concerns and support that have been expressed to date. Per online reviews, the campground has been in operation since October of 2018, excuse me. This was done without the proper zoning approvals, business license, and health department approvals. If the owners had inquired about a business license or the need for a business license, the zoning would have been addressed at that time. Concerns expressed on the safety of the railroad crossing and the access to the parcels associated with the commercial operation. CSX has stated that to continue the use or expand the use of an existing crossing for commercial camping or other use beyond a private farm, the users must submit a request to CSXT for review. Want to be clear that this is a civil issue and any enforcement would be a private matter. While both include the railroad crossing itself. The civil issues and safety concerns are separate. Safety concerns with the railroad that have been discussed include the single lane access across the railroad and the grade going up to the railroad and the grade going from the railroad back to the river or road, depending on which way you're traveling. And the ability, or in some cases, the lack of ability to see the other side of the tracks. The access serves two adjacent properties that are not associated with the campground applications. Owners to the west have expressed concerns on the lack of defined property lines and past experience with trespassing issues. Under current conditions, the project would be limited to 8 primitive campsites. There are currently 5 campsites. The additional 3 sites that are proposed and shown on the site plan are closer in relation to the landowners that have expressed concerns about the trespassing and people camping on the property. Another concern of the adjoining landowner is the open access to the parcel and lack of oversight of the campers itself. Currently, there is not an office, the owners do not live on the property, and there is not a requirement for the owner's management to check in to the campers or be present while the guests are on site. This concern of open access and lack of management outside on site is not addressed in the current draft of conditions, which will be provided to you in the next slide. Floodplain concerns. This section of the James River has an engineered study, and the majority of the Orson tracts are located in the 100-year floodplain with areas of AE hatched. That's considered floodway along the banks of the river. Along with the concerns, the PC Planning Commission has received several letters of support of the campground. Letters of support include the need for additional campsites in the county, increased opportunities for outdoor recreation, how hidden and isolated the parcel are, safe river access, and positive economic impacts. Like to review the draft conditions. These uses by special exception, the uses by special exception are uses by special exception because they have been determined to have a potential larger impact on the area than permitted uses in that zoning district. Special exception conditions are crafted to attempt to address the impacts from the special uses that are under review. The draft conditions include number 1, substantial compliance with concept plan prepared by Perkins and Orson dated June 15, 2020. Number 2, the campground is limited to private tent camping only, no motorhomes, tow behind campers, such as pop-up campers, toy haulers, teardrop trailers, stand-up trailers, and travel trailers or RVs permitted. Number 3, all users are required to be notified and acknowledge that the campground is within the 100-year special flood hazard area. The campground owner shall utilize the Alert Rockbridge notification system and will provide us instructions upon check-in about accessing the Alert Rockbridge system. Campground owners are responsible, number 4, campground owners are responsible to ensure that the railroad crossing / stop signage is not obstructed. Number 5, campground owners are responsible for installing and maintaining signage, identifying the eastern and western limits of the campground. And number 6, the campground will be addressed and installed a E911 signage. The last proposed condition is approval contingent on final VDOT and Health Department approvals and any required CSX approvals. This slide concludes staff's portion of the presentation. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the Orson family to review additional details of the project. Would you like me to, is it beneficial site plan?
No, you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
It's the conditions that that Chris has read are certainly acceptable to us, and we work through those with various stakeholders in the process. So I think they address most of the concerns that have been expressed that we can address. The railroad is, as Chris says, a private and civil matter regarding 2 property owners, and they're difficult to get a hold of and whatnot, but we obviously have no choice but to hold up our end of any civil agreement with them. So that's not part of this application. You have been given some testimony from some of the people that have been down there, and it's a primitive campground. It's tents in a hayfield. We use it for a hayfield. People can put tents there. People have a good time there, whether they're friends or family or through this website that Wendy uses. And I think it's a positive for the county. It's a positive experience that people have. The county recently named the James River, I'm not sure what, a scenic, what?
Called the Upper James River Trail.
Upper James River Trail. So we've been, as a county and as a region, we've been trying to promote use of the river, and people getting in and out of the river and enjoying our river is a necessary part of utilizing the river. So we think it's a good idea. It's a low impact primitive campground. We're not allowing RVs. We're not allowing tow behind trailers, and we certainly would look forward to welcoming visitors to Rockbridge County Campground. And I'm sure there's some questions, but I don't know that we have a lot more else that we didn't say last time. Thanks.
That would be back to the chair, Mr. McLaughlin.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue then with the citizen comments, and would remind people, as we said before, this time, please note that the commission is interested in hearing your comments and that staff has done their best to make public comments possible during this time. Like for your comments, if your comments have been previously stated, that you refrain from reiterating the same comments. Make sure that we stay within the 3-minute limit, and that you state your name and magisterial district. So we'll go in the proper order. Any citizens present, Mr. Sladen?
We're just technicality for the record that this isn't the citizen comment period. This is going to be the public hearing period.
I mean, sorry, public hearing. That's sorry.
Yes, no, that's fine. And we would just like to formally open up the public hearing.
Is there anybody present who would like to speak?
He does. It's fine. Okay. Anyone present that would like to speak? Yes. Come on up, state your name and magisterial district.
Okay. Hi, my name is Caitlin Perkins. Currently, my magisterial district is Teton County, Wyoming, but I am in the process of relocating back to Virginia. My late father, Wes Perkins, owned the adjoining parcel to the east, and I just want to state my support for this. I think it's a safe way for recreators to get either enter or exit from the river. And I've been down there when people have been down there, and you honestly don't even know that they're down there. It's quiet. If you're familiar with Airbnb, it's similar, where you have to apply to go, and people will review your credentials and how you have acted on other places. So I think it's just a great opportunity to showcase a beautiful place that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else present? Slade, is there anybody else? Okay.
Yes, I'm Sammy Vest. I'm one of the owners of the parcel on the west side of the Orson proposed project. Our concerns are basically been stated in previous emails and correspondence with Chris is the trespassing issue. The gate is not monitored, so people coming and going. My children have been there and had to run people off the property for trespassing. And just that needs to be addressed before anything moves forward with it. And in the past, it's always been a locked gate to keep people from down there, because once the gate's open, trying to keep people off of private land along the river has always been an issue. And it's just not monitored, there was no oversight with that part of the project. The other thing is like the boundary, they've made an attempt to kind of roughly mark the boundary to try and keep people from being there. We need to do something more formal. Moving forward, the Orsons have always put up the hay in our little field portion of it. I really don't have more grass to mow, so we want it marked properly, but we just need to make that work. And then the other thing is, before the board really moves forward, I do think that somehow with CSX and VDOT, that there needs to be some assurances that this added traffic on an unpermitted campground is allowed by CSX and VDOT. That they actually, the feasibility of actually the entrance is possible with the added traffic to that kind of an entrance with low visibility. Otherwise, it's their property. But our safety concerns and that of my children and our friends going in and out are the biggest concern that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vest.
Anyone else present to speak?
Yeah, we can respond.
Well, let's go through the public hearing, then we can
Yeah.
respond.
Yeah.
No one else is physically present to speak. We will have a response as usual, but with that, we do have one, Andrea Upchurch with her hand raised. Do you take care of that? The Stefan is going to allow her to speak. So when you start hearing us or Andrea, if you speak, I think we can hear you now.
Wonderful. Yes. Again, my name is Audra Upchurch. I'm one of the 4 co-owners of the property to the west. And to reiterate Sammy's points, our main concerns have been safety, trespassing, and really want to understand the processes for that gate closure and keeping trespassers on the campground property and off of our property. And I have provided written comments in addition to this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Upchurch. Are there any others on Zoom comments? Any more hand raised, Chris?
There are no additional hand raised.
Are there any Zoom texts? I'm not seeing any down in the.
No, there are no questions on the question and answer.
How about phone?
No one has called in.
Okay. Are there any other further comments at this time?
Not for the public hearing portion.
All right, then we'll go ahead, and this would be an appropriate time to go ahead and close the public hearing at this
Yep.
time. Were there more comments?
I can respond, to follow up on the CSX issue and the VDOT issue that's been raised during the public hearing. So the crossing itself is while they both include the crossing, we're dealing with 2 different things. One is the civil issue between 2 landowners, several landowners, one being the Orson family, and the second one being the CSX railroad itself. And so for any easement issues or any permits they require or information CSX would require to allow this type of use, that is going to be a completely civil issue. However, as I stated in the presentation itself, while both include the railroad crossing itself, so it's one and the same, both of they include the railroad crossing, the civil issues and the safety concerns are separate. The role of the planning commission is not going to get into the civil issues that is currently addressed in the ordinance or in the proposed conditions. However, your purview would be the safety concerns with the railroad crossing itself. Again, safety concerns on the railroad itself that has been discussed include the single lane access across the railroad, the grade going up to the railroad, and the grade going down from the railroad, and the ability, or in some cases, the lack of ability to see the other side of the track. And we've been provided examples that, one person is coming in and is unaware because the river side of the railroad is such lower than the road side. We've been told of issues where someone is coming in and is unaware of people that are coming out. And so the meeting point on that is the actual railroad. So again, just to be clear, the agreement, the easement issue is a completely civil issue between two landowners. However, the safety concerns with that railroad crossing would be under your scope, your scope being the planning commission. And as far as VDOT goes, the second question would be VDOT. They have issued, they had previously issued a low volume commercial entrance. When the subdivision happened in 2007, I believe, somewhere around that date, the subdivision went from one parcel to 4 parcels, 5 total parcels. So that required a low volume commercial entrance. So it's my understanding, because they had a low volume commercial entrance, that they would not be required to make additional improvements to the existing entrance itself. And correct me if I'm wrong.
But we have agreed to make additional improvements, or they've agreed to let us, VDOT's agreed to let us extend the culvert and add gravel to it, and they've reissued the permit. So VDOT has issued the permit. They visited the site. They were happy with the improvements we proposed, and they've reissued the permit. So it's we have the permit in hand for VDOT for the entrance.
All right, are there any other comments before we bring it back to the commission?
Yeah, that's appropriate as an applicant, right? Yes. And so we have closed the public hearing, but the applicant, Wendy Orson, would like to make a follow-up comment, which I think it's appropriate.
Thank you for your time. I just wanted to really thank Robert and Melissa and Kim all came out to the property and looked at it. So I appreciate your time and your service to this board and to really weighing the matters at hand and looking into them. I also wanted to be clear that the board and the commission knows that I did go and meet with Sammy and his wife Tish after the last meeting. I thought we had agreed on mowing and some fence stakes, which I have since put in, and I put the stakes and the no trespassing signs up. So I'm a little surprised by Sammy's comments tonight, because I thought we had agreed that that was agreeable. So I apologize that that's not still of acceptance, and I will continue to talk to him to make sure he's okay. And Caitlin came and spoke as the other landowner. So we're 25 acres of 28 acres. I also think that the commissioners that drove in and out, while it's a private grade crossing, it's not dangerous. You are going to go up it slowly. It's thick gravel. I have never sped in or out of there. I think you guys all saw it, and I think it's being exaggerated that this is a dangerous place where you can't see anyone else. And so I just kind of wanted to go on record to say, I've been driving across it. We've taken tractors across it for years, and it's never felt scary. So I just wanted to go on record that. I also want to be sure that of the exceptions, we have talked to Nathan Ramsey, and I do have a statement with the Rockbridge alert. So everyone that stays there does get that Rockbridge alert. So everything that the commission has asked us to do, I have tried to do properly now. So I apologize that I didn't do it ahead of time. I've tried to cross my T's and dot my I's at this point going forward. And I just really hope that you would find a way to support this creative outdoor experience in Rockbridge County. Thank you.
All right, bring it back to the board. Comments, discussion?
I kind of was hoping, Lee, you all were not here when we ran the meeting last time. There were only 2 of us. We just didn't feel comfortable making a proposal without having at least 2 more voices. And I feel better now that we're all here. So I kind of like to hear from you all that were not here last meeting, what your thoughts are.
Okay, Kimberly, you want to go first?
Sure. Like Ms. Orson said, I did make a site visit to the campground, and we visited 4 of the sites and walked around. It's a very cool place, but I did have concerns, and I wanted to, we talked about those
Wendy and I discussed those while I was there about the adjoining landowner with to the west, more so just for the fact that the more the trespassing was taking place up there in the complaint. She did express to me that she had talked with Sammy and the different ones about their concerns, but it sounds like to me, again, that perhaps we need to look a little bit more further into maybe some marking, or say perhaps a fence with the, you talk about the mowing operations, a fence with a gate, perhaps where Sammy and the people of the lower, the west property have access, but still can be mowed easily. The installation of a fence would also help out with perhaps signage, no trespassing, or end of campground marking, or something to say this is, stop, this is where the campground stops and this is where someone else's property starts, or, some kind of language or signage there. That's one thing I noted. It sounds like to me that the railroad crossing is in a civil manner more so. With me, when I crossed it, I'm like Ms. Morrison, I went fairly slow. I was behind her, but went fairly slow because it's a straight grade up, straight grade down. You are clearly able to see once you get up there to the right, to the left of the road to make sure no one's coming, or there's no train coming. When you drop down over the other side, you kind of have to, just drop down over the other side. I did notice the gate there as I was leaving that Mr. Beth spoke about. It looked like it had a lock on it at one time. I, like Caitlin, have stayed at Airbnb, have stayed at Airbnbs very often. When we do that, we normally don't see the landowner also, but we don't normally have a code to get in. With multiple property owners, have you all thought about like possibly moving the, once you top over, one of Sammy's concerns was people being in the property when it has concerns, trespassing issue. We used to have a locked gate, but if not locked, people just help themselves to the river, basically. Have you all thought about, like, encroaching on your property a little bit more, maybe putting a fence, a decorative fence or something with a gate, and then have a chain where on the front half of it would have a key code, like you would with an Airbnb. But on the back side would be Sammy's lock, and the LLC's lock, and then the Orson lock on the other side. I know that we deal out a lot of times with work when we have multiple people trying to get into a facility. We each have we daisy chain a lock in there. The reason I say the code, like I said, with Airbnb, a lot of times they'll send you a code, and that's your code to get into the hotel, into their home or to their townhouse or whatever. So that's something I thought about there too. That would help with the trespassing. As far as the VDOT low entrance, it sounds like that's a good thing, that it's been improved. And I think Wendy and I had talked about, the possibility of extending the culvert and putting more gravel down, and we're happy. The only thing, when I pulled back down to the road, you can easily see right and you can see left. Maybe some shrubs and trimming would be something, but other than that, you can easily see right and left. When I did leave, and I talked with Wendy, the biggest concern I had was about the neighbor across the street, about how to make her less involved with everything. So I think that's part of what, what I looked at and what I seen when I was on site, and some of the concerns that I took away from the letters and from when Wendy and I visited together. So.
All right, thank you. You spoke much of my concerns there too. I feel like the plan is incomplete at this point. I'd like to see and make sure that the signage delineating the property lines would be clear and acceptable to all parties. And I think we need that to happen first. Can't really speak because I was not able to get down there for a variety of reasons. I'm sorry I did not get down there. But forgive me for that. So I can't really speak to the safety of the railroad. I know there's some issues there that need to be addressed, but that's a civil matter and not part of what we have to do. I'm concerned about the entrance, just allowing anybody to come in that's not going to necessarily abide by your rules. I think that needs to be addressed in the plan as well. I think you've taken care of the VDOT. I think you've taken care of the 911 and all of the support for and warning for flooding. I think there's a lot of positive things going on here with the primitive camping. I think it has a lot of potential. I don't think the plan is quite there yet, and I would urge you to continue to work on the plan, get it to where everybody, particularly your neighbors, are going to be happy with it, because I think there is a good bit of Rockbridge County that is open to this sort of thing, and I think it can provide a good service for Rockbridge County. Right now, I don't think it's there at this point. That's my opinion at this point. Putting it up to other members of the Planning Commission to chime in.
I'll have to agree with what Lee's saying at this point. To me, it's not the adjoining landowners to the west. It's definitely going to have some negative impact on them the way it sets now, and of course the neighbors across the railroad tracks across the road. And what I went down and looked at the crossing, and it's a railroad crossing. It's steep. If that railroad crossing was a little flatter, I could deal with the safety issues of it a little better. But safety issues here, that's something we can address and can talk about. And what we think driving across a railroad crossing, because we've been across them all our lives or been exposed to it's not too bad. But some of the folks that may come in or may try to use that don't necessarily realize the dangers and especially on a railroad crossing that steep, or crossing that steep, and it could turn into something that could be detrimental to somebody's well-being if somebody were to take a camper in there, like it seems like they've been trying to do, and hang it up on there. And the lack of control of access to the property, that could definitely lead to that happening. So that's all I've got.
Any other comments?
Everybody's kind of spoken, we looked at this. I mean, I was worried about the neighbors, the negative impact. We got an email today about an incident where the police were called and there were some issues there. That's my biggest concern, and the lack of control of the property, just that anybody can kind of come and go once they know it's there. There's nobody monitoring what's going on down there, and that makes the other landowners, adjoining landowners, responsible for dealing with people who are trespassing or not following the rules. So that's my concern.
Anybody else? Anybody?
No.
Anybody wanting to make a motion? And again, remind everybody that our recommendations are merely recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. They're the ones that have the final say on anything.
Well, I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission recommended the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for operation of a primitive campground in the agricultural general uses district A-1 per LDR section 603.03-15 on 3 parcels of land located along the James River off of Gilmer's Mill Road and identified as tax map 113-11-1 owned by Charles R. and Karen O. Orson, tax map 113-11-2 owned by Russell and Laura Orson, and tax map 113-11-3 owned by Michael C. and Wendy Orson in the Natural Bridge Magisterial District be denied.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion? Okay, ayes have it. Motion is denied. I mean, the motion is accepted. And the next step will be the supervisors. Okay, next on our.
Anything right now, or can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would it be, I know that we dealt with something very similar when we were dealing with the, the vineyard, the, out in the Morse Creek area, not Morse Creek, but
Yeah, it was Morse Creek.
School Road. Where, could the applicant come back to us with, you know, a better, you know, something more concrete? I think it's a great idea, all of it. I just think there's more things that, I'm concerned about the neighbor across the road and, you know, the best as far as getting together with that landowner. Could they withdraw their application or resubmit it? I mean, maybe I should make that comment before we, you know.
Yeah, I can address that. So the question is what steps do we have from here? What options do we have from here? And of course, you know, the Planning Commission has recommended denial of the project to the Board of Supervisors. With that being said, the applicant certainly has the right to continue along with the process. The public hearing for the Board of Supervisors is scheduled for the end of this month. I don't have the exact date in front of me. At the regular scheduled meeting. You know, another option is exactly what you said, that there's been in past experiences where the Planning Commission has made a recommendation to deny based on some concerns. With that being said, the applicant certainly has the right to withdraw the application and work on some of these concerns that have been raised and then reapply for that.
I do know that when we did the vineyard, we've seen
The wedding event venue,
several
yes,
times.
yes, that was, and I don't have the exact history on that, but I know we at least got 3 applications. I think 1 application was withdrawn even prior to getting to y'all's venue, if you will, and then at least twice before that, the Planning Commission has recommended denial, and then they withdrew.
All right, well, I mean, I personally feel like, I would hope, from my perspective, I thought it was a really cool place down there. If we could get all the, you know, get a list of the concerns and, you know, withdraw and resubmit their, for a new plan. Like I said, there were several things that I think that we could work through between the fence and the gate for, you know, the adjoining landowner, and then, like I said, the gate getting into it with, you know, maybe a lockbox or keypad or something. Like I said, I stay at Airbnbs when we travel, so I know how all that works. And I mentioned that. I said I think there's several options that are easy to do if we could just, you know, reapply and maybe get a good plan together. I know the 911 address is going to help maybe alleviate the neighbor across the road.
Kimberly, I appreciate all your comments. I think those are right, spot on. And again, I support the concept of what's going on here. I think there are some issues that need to be addressed, and I know the Arsons have done a great job at addressing many of them. But I think there needs to be a little more complete plan as we go forward. So thank you, Kimberly, for all those really good suggestions. Are there any other comments that need to be made at this point? We'll move on to the next order, the next agenda item, the zoning text amendments. Back to Chris.
Yes, so periodically coming up, we're going to start talking about some zoning text amendments, maybe even on a monthly basis. The first 2 that I'd like to talk with, and I don't have any draft language prepared at this time. That really wasn't the point of this particular meeting. But really just to have some ideas about upcoming text amendments and see if there is a will of the Planning Commission as a whole to move forward to it. So one that's become that has always, you know, been somewhat of a bone of contention are Section 702 additional dwellings on a single lot. Current ordinance allows for additional single additional dwellings on a single lot, provided that the new dwelling can be subdivided under current setbacks in the future, meaning no substandard lot would be created in terms of area setback or requirements for that zoning district. The area requirements, we would certainly not recommend reducing the area requirements. That becomes extremely problematic in my opinion. But due to topography, utilization of existing structures, and the desire to have a second additional dwelling unit, if you will, closer to the primary dwelling, the setback has been problematic in the past. The setback requirements can be an issue in case of guest houses, or when an older parent is moving onto the children's property, or here we've seen it a little bit more, the children are, due to the COVID pandemic or wherever they may have gone, are moving back to the parents' property, and the parents aren't necessarily willing or willing participants in moving back in the house. So we've seen a couple situations where they're actually building, garage / apartments, that type of thing. Staff would like to discuss the possibility of text amendments to this section for provisions for guest houses, garage apartments, and/or accessory dwelling units. Again, this is for discussion only. We may very well, I've done some homework on this, and I found Virginia Beach has an excellent handle and definitions of all 3 or 4 of these things: the guest house, the garage apartments, 3 of them, guest houses, garage apartments, and/or accessory dwelling units. Historically, we have always treated garage apartments as accessory structures. That has become, in my opinion, extremely problematic, because you can have 4 garages on your property. Does that mean you can have 4 garage apartments? And does that mean you can then rent out those 4 garages apartments? And that does not have to do with minimum lot size, because again, they're accessory structures, or were considered accessory structures. The comfort level has been reduced on continuing that practice. With that being said, y'all just like to throw that out there. Maybe the proper thing to do in this case is take baby steps and deal with these garage apartments first, and then look at the more accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to the chair and fellow planning commission members, sort of just get your feedback on the proposed, the discussion on the proposed text amendment.
Chris, I appreciate all of that, and would encourage you to go ahead and let us know what Virginia Beach does with these things. Are any of these in our current definitions at this point?
No, sir. It's just straight dwelling. See, we have definitions for single family dwellings, 2-family dwellings, apartments, that type of thing, but we do not have anything for guest houses, garage apartments. And the unique thing I found with Virginia Beach is they actually, and it's a lot of work to do in this one, and this one is not on necessarily a fast track by any means, but with that being said, Virginia Beach has definition of guest houses would have some living quarters, but do not include a kitchen, which I thought was interesting for a bona fide guest. It does prohibit the use of it as a short-term rental. Same thing with garage apartments. There's a certain square footage that has to be associated. I think it was 800 square feet or less, and it had to be on top of the garage, on the top of an existing garage. So both of those have really come to, they have been requested multiple times, and sometimes those are problematic. So accessory dwelling units are getting a little bit more requested as well, but I think that potentially could be a little bit more in-depth review before we get into those accessory dwelling units, again, ADUs.
Okay, so I think that's would be our first step, is to have to come up with appropriate definitions that we're all comfortable with, and work from there as far as that's concerned. The comments, ideas, thoughts?
I agree.
Any other comments?
Chris, if staff can work on definitions, maybe looking not only at Virginia Beach, some of the other areas that might be more similar to Rockbridge County.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue this discussion next month. On that one, we'll see where we're at. So even on a fast track, I just like to, for this one and the next one, and I may have should have started with this, the process in my mind, let's say talking about a fast track, is obviously discussion this evening, further discussion, and actually have draft language at the next meeting. And then that draft language, y'all could review it at the meeting, and then schedule it to go to public hearing, review it at the September meeting, then schedule it for a public hearing at the October meeting, and then obviously hold that public hearing at the October meeting. This particular one may be a little bit more homework for staff to do. And we may or may not get there, by October on the section 702, that's additional dwellings on a single lot.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that as everybody else.
And we'll see how much staff can get done and that type of thing. The second one that I would like to talk to y'all about, and I think I'm going to attempt to share my screen, are uses by special exception in a general residential zoning district. Staff would like to discuss the possible amendments to the current uses by special exception in the R1 zoning district. And I will go ahead and share my screen. I just did not share my screen. Bear with me here. So I'd like to first zoom out. Bear with me here. So the Lexington, currently the Lexington Golf and Country Club is located in the R1 zoning district. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. I do not have the parcels highlighted. I should. Let me go ahead and do that. I believe that is all. The parcels with the Lexington Golf and Country Club are highlighted now in orange. Go ahead and turn on the aerial photo there. While a portion of the Lexington Golf Country Club is located in the city of Lexington, the majority of the golf course itself, and I believe it's a correct statement to say all of the country club facilities are located in the county. They're in the general residential zoning district, which is in the yellow, is popping up now. Of course, the clear area to the west is going to be Rockbridge County, and that's going to be an agricultural general A2 zoning district. In this area here, if you can see my cursor now, I'm gonna go ahead and close this so make it a little bit bigger. All of this land is in the agricultural zoning district here. If you can see my cursor, all of this land is in the city of Lexington. So the surrounding, you can see the surrounding residential development is also located in the R1 district. The surrounding current ordinance defines golf courses and golf course driving ranges, and they were included in your package. I will go over those definitions. Golf course driving ranges are also a use by special exception in the general business zone. It's not really pertains to this discussion, but I just thought I'd throw it in there that, golf driving ranges can be done in a business zone with a special exception. While golf courses and driving ranges are used by special exception in the agricultural general use district, A2, and a special exception in the agricultural and transitional district, the AT district, these uses are not permitted in the R1 zoning district. Staff would like to talk to you about the possible amendments to further define and provide for this use as a special exception in the residential zoning district. So currently, a golf course is any golf course, publicly or privately owned, on which the game of golf is played, including accessory uses and buildings customary thereto, but excluding golf driving ranges, but defined hereon. So golf driving ranges are simply a limited area which golf players do not walk, but rather, but into which they drive golf balls from a central driving tee. I may be missing a line there, but we're clear on what a golf course is and what a golf driving range is. with that being said, the golf course itself certainly predates zoning. We would consider it a non-conforming use. You know, in some cases, that non-conforming use would have the ability to apply for a special exception. In other zoning districts with other different uses, you could certainly have a potential of having a non-conforming use, but have it be allowed by a special exception. Many examples on that. But this one's a little bit unique because, again, golf courses are used by special exception in the AT zone and the A2 zone, but they are not permitted by a permitted use or even a use by special exception in the residential zoning district. So for the golf course to make any improvements to the facilities, you know, including decks or any expansion of footprint, the planning staff does not have the authority to approve that building permit. And furthermore, there is no way, for lack of a better term, no path forward for them currently, there's no path forward for them to become a use by special exception in a zoning district they have been in since, I assume, 1970, something like that. So the long and the short of it is what we would like to do is further explore making golf course and golf driving ranges a use by special exception. This would take a zoning text amendment and of course a public hearing with the Planning Commission. Planning Commission makes a recommendation and then it goes to the Board of Supervisors. With that being said, again, you know, we would also like to look at the definition of a golf course and maybe explore the possibility to see what other localities are doing, what other golf courses are doing, and see if our golf course is consistent with other localities and really would work with any future plans that the Lexington Golf and Country Club could be working towards. So what this would do would not give them a special exception. Obviously, they would have to apply, if this zoning text amendment went through, they would have to apply at a later date at their convenience for the use by special exception. So again, back to the chair and other members of the Planning Commission, just your thoughts on this and direction for staff.
Okay. I want to support the Golf and Country Club in any way that we can. And so many communities have golf courses in which they need part of the real estate around that is based on people building around the golf course. So I feel like it's consistent with being part of an R1 situation. We just need to make the language, make it right, and make it so that the country club can go ahead and do some of its future developments so they can do so the benefit of the community, the county. I mean, I see a lot of tax benefits with that, that sort of thing. So I would encourage staff to go ahead and start drafting some language or some suggestions for us to consider. That's my personal feeling. Anybody else want to chime in?
So Lee, Mr. McLaughlin, you made an excellent point, which I failed to make. You know, you never can tell what opposition you're going to get for a particular text amendment or particular special exception. But with this particular case, the two uses, one being the golf course and driving range, and two, the surrounding residential development, of course, play off each other. And so, you know, the continued success of the golf course would certainly, in my opinion, be beneficial to the surrounding residential district, in the fact that if it was not successful in the future, that could have, and again, in my opinion, some negative impacts on the residential development that surrounds the golf course. Mr. Orson is intense as well, and he would like to make a comment on this on this particular zoning text amendment. That's okay with the chair.
Yes, of course.
Yes, sir.
I'm not on the board of the golf course, but I'm working with the golf course, and they have some very exciting plans that they're currently working on. So it's not an emergency or anything like that, and all of these things are going to take time. But it's an incredible opportunity, perhaps, if it goes forward, to upgrade the course and do a bunch of things. So I would urge that we make regulations that as a special exception, it would be a public hearing and we would come before you guys and of course the board for any uses, but I would try not to over-regulate within the ordinance itself very particular uses or sizes of uses or something, because it's a special exception and we'll come back. And the reason I'm saying that is because there may be even a residential component of it. Perhaps if we have an opportunity to host tournaments or something like that, alumni or fans or something may even want to have short-term a stay in a cottage or something like that. And it would never have occurred to me that that would be part of a golf course, but apparently in talking to the golf course designers, that's now a huge part of successful golf courses. So because it's a special exception project, I would urge that the ordinance, that we not try and get down too far in the weeds on the ordinance, but if we make a special exception that's inclusive, then we can have meetings like we're having for that use. That's it. Thanks.
Thanks. I don't want to get too far in the weeds either, like my golf game is, so.
Pun intended.
I agree. We need to support the golf course. It's been there long before we were digging into zoning and regulations, and it's definitely an important part of the Lexington area, the Rockbridge County area, and definitely there's been a ton of houses and a ton of housing and development built specifically around that golf course, and we need to do what we can to make it where they can do to make some improvements, probably some sorely needed improvements along the way, and to bring it up to today's standards.
Chris, are you all, is staff comfortable with direction at this point?
Yes, and you know, depending on the amount of research we did, you know, this particular one, depending on what the research we find, this particular one may go a little bit faster than some other text amendments we're dealing with, and that's just because the nature of the text amendment itself. We may find that we don't have to expand the definition itself, but only do a text amendment to allow these uses as a special exception, include these uses in the special exception list that's currently in the R1 zoning district. So yes, I'm comfortable with my direction. Yes, sir.
So I'm speaking for myself and not necessarily for the board, but or the commission. But I think as soon as you all are comfortable with presenting that as part of whichever agenda, whichever meeting you all feel is most important, and then we'll take it from there to get it into what you called it earlier, the fast track, just like we're going to do with the other one. If that's necessary, go ahead and put it in with the agenda when you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Chris, do you have anything else?
I do have, yes, I do have two things. One is the Board of Supervisors have started meeting in-house, if you will. And so we're of course going to follow their lead. And if y'all are available, we will start convening in this Board of Supervisors meeting room. It's worked well at the board level as far as the mask requirement. They're currently, due to social distancing requirements, no more than 30 people can be in this room. We have signs on the chair that says don't sit here, social distancing. So the first thing to bring up is the just next month, I think we're gonna under current regulations, under current restrictions, COVID restrictions, we will plan on meeting in this room. The second thing I want to bring forward is, and I meant to put it on this agenda, but just got sidetracked and failed to do that, is meeting by electronic means. So the meeting by electronic means is different than the continuum of government ordinance we are working under now. The meeting by electric means would allow for 2 planning commission members to participate remotely. There are certain rules and regulations, certain statements that you have to make when you do that. So it wouldn't be utilized on a monthly, we wouldn't expect it to be utilized on a monthly basis by any means. But if there's something that the planning commission member is out of town for work or vacation and they can join us with this great technology we have set up, it sort of propelled us to go that direction. And so I sort of want to get again a consensus of the planning commission. If that's something that y'all would like to put on the next agenda for discussion, and then that doesn't require a public hearing or anything. That obviously not zoning text amendment, so it doesn't require a public hearing. But we'll put it on the agenda. We will give you the information about electronic meeting by electronic means, and then go from there.
That be then added to the bylaws or anything like that? Chris?
I'm uncertain. I can follow up with that. And Ms. Huffman actually reminded me, it was maybe a month or 2, maybe 3 months ago, time goes by quick now, that she had actually emailed each of y'all some information on meeting by electronic means. So we will get that information back out, put it in the agenda package, and probably follow up via email prior to that next meeting. But
okay, one question about the previous, about meeting next month. Is that still going to be a Zoom meeting for those folks that want to participate by Zoom? Even though we're all there, we'll...
As of right now, yes.
Okay.
Trying to make sure that the meetings will all continually be streamed for public to be able to view them.
So Stefan is reporting that the effort is being made that all meetings will be streamed, so the public has the opportunity to follow us via Zoom or on YouTube, I assume, as well.
We're going to be updating this room as well to make the stream work a little bit better than what we currently.
Another thing we're working on are some pretty significant upgrades to this particular room, where we'll have cameras, different cameras with different vantage points, maybe one going towards the dais and one coming back here, improving the sound system itself, those type of things. So it will make this room more conducive to Zoom meetings, meeting by electronic means, that type of thing. So to answer your question, yes, sir.
So will there be participation from all
Are there any other business?
That is all I had for y'all this evening.
Anybody else have anything? Call for a movement to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Adjourn.
I second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I think I heard one eye in there. There are 2 eyes. Wave your hand. Okay, we got everybody wave their hand. All right, meeting is adjourned at this point. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it, and we'll see you in a month.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. So,
Stay
Stefan,
healthy.
can I leave here?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can leave here, correct?